All right, so very exciting times. Welcome back to the video, and here we're going to cover promote your page. Now, what is promote your page and why am I so excited about it? Well, promote your page is essentially like my page. You know, you're collecting likes, you're collecting fans, you're collecting basically people liking your page, and if page eventually has however many fans, you decide to grow by using these ads. Now, why do we care about it and why are we so excited about it? Well, if you know anything about Facebook, a little while back, maybe 2 years ago, maybe a little less, essentially your fans belonged to you. So when you had a page with 100 fans or 100,000 fans or a million fans, when you posted something on that page, that post reached every single one of your fans, assuming they were on Facebook at that particular time. However, if you know, we all know that that has changed drastically, where Facebook basically cut off your reach to your fans, regardless if you've acquired them organically or through paid ads. You're reaching approximately 5% on average, regardless, again, if you know if they're your fans or not. So Facebook essentially forced us to promote to our fans, even though we already have them to begin with, and that changed the game dramatically. Essentially, the fans or the value of each fan dropped to almost nothing. However, there's a different twist, a different angle to this that you can still use and gain very important data. And this is exactly what we're going to dive in this video. So basically, what we're going to do is build a fan page, promote that fan page with likes. And we're going to do that using a very generic, if you will, somewhat generic targeting. And the reason why we're going to do this is because we are going to use Facebook's reporting to show us exactly who to target. We're going to use promote your page ads to eliminate the guesswork as to the age and the demographics of the people who we're going to be targeting as it relates to our niche, as our product, or anything that we're looking to essentially sell using Facebook ads. So how is this done? Well, first of all, obviously, you need a product. You obviously need something that you know you're going to sell, and you're going to create a page around that. So if we just took a stab at anything and went with dogs, for example, we would be able to create a page before coming to the ads. We would create a physical page on Facebook, and I'm not going to go over how to create a page on Facebook. It's very simple. If you still don't know it and you have never done it, that's not a problem. All you got to do is simply Google how to create a page on Facebook, and there's so many. You can go to YouTube. There's so many instructions, blogs, articles, videos. There's just no need to spend our time on it when we got much more important and valuable work to do. So once you create a page on Facebook, you essentially are going to create a promote your page ad by clicking promote your page, selecting, let's say happy customer as one of the pages I had. It's essentially a very universal page for any product. But let's say you were targeting dogs, right? So you would leave the country to whatever country you want to target, for example, United States. You would leave the age exactly as is, open from 18 to 65 plus. You would leave the gender to all, and that's the secret, sort of the idea behind this ad, because you are letting Facebook do the hard work for you, do all the information, get all the information for you, so that the next step when you are actually putting these ads together for the specific item and specific demographics, you already have it, and you have it from Facebook itself. So you don't have to guess. If you do the research using the information we've already covered and will be covering in the future, you can still do this to validate your research, and you could still do this to essentially make sure that you're on the right path. However, if you have no idea where to begin and you have no idea, where to go with any of it, the best way to do this is really to come and ask Facebook. Hey, listen, I'm gonna spend a little money with you, and I mean very little money, and in return, I'm gonna get something absolutely priceless, if you will, or at least much, much, much more valuable than the amount of money that I'm gonna spend with you, Facebook. In return, you're gonna tell me the exact demographics I should be targeting for my product, right? So again, we're leaving the age, we're leaving the gender. We're basically looking to put the niche information here in terms of the targeting. So let's say we were targeting pit bulls. That's a very popular breed. I don't know why dogs are on my mind today, but we're going to work with that. So let's put something like pit bulls or pit bull, a general term here first, and that's going to give us, or at least that's going to give Facebook an idea to really suggest similar interests to us, right? So keep in mind one thing: we do not want to work with interests that are so large, because interests that are that large typically cover many demographics, many people, pretty much all age groups, one way or another. That means 13 million people means really that now we're really trying to reach everybody, and we don't want to reach everybody because we want to reach the passionate people, those people who are very interested in pit bulls, who are interested enough to purchase things from them, whatever it is that we're going to be selling to them. They are going to be our best customers, and that's typically not everybody, right? Even though we have 13 million people here that supposedly like pit bulls, that's not tight enough. That's not specific enough. So let's try writing pit bulls and see what Facebook allows us to get. So pit bulls and Paralys, if you happen to know, there's a show that people who like pit bulls are obviously going to be interested in. Now, this is a TV show, so it's something that we might consider adding to our interest, and we're going to take away the large interest because we only use it to get a general idea. The next thing we're going to look at, let's see, pit bulls. Again, pit bulls and Paralys, and that's the same show, so let's add that. Pit bulls. That's too big, 10.1 million. I love pit bulls, much better, 1.9 million. Pit bulls. We want the actual smaller groups because they are much more tight, much more specific, much more passionate typically about the niche that we're really trying to connect to, right? So there's another pit bulls and Paralys group or some kind of a congregation on Facebook that's only 145,000. That's awesome. We're going to add this because that's a really kind of passionate group. We might even take away the big ones because we found something that's much more off the main path, so to speak, right? It's still people who are interested in this whole show because pit bulls and Paralys is a show, but it's definitely off the main path. So that means they're somehow much more into this whole idea, into this whole show, into the whole pit bull thing. So let's see what else we have. So now that we're closer, so to speak, to our niche, now as you can see, the suggestions that Facebook is offering are much more into what it is that we're looking for. So Pitbull chat would be awesome. People who are probably sitting on forums or something of that nature and chatting about it, that's exactly who we're looking for. So Pitbulls.org, 92,000, perfect. Again, very small group that has to do with the niche that or even a sub niche that we're discussing right now. Now, you may notice that this 3.1 million hasn't changed. The reason for that is because we have large interest or keywords that cover large groups of people that essentially overtake everything else, which is why we may want to remove them as good as they are because we have better, more targeted keywords, if you will. I may even consider removing this one because remember we had that smaller one, and now we're back to 1.6 million, which is great. It's a smaller group, but it's a much more targeted group, and again, much more passionate group typically as it relates to this sub group of the dog niche, which allows us to communicate with them in a much better way because we're going to be able to convert them into customers as we move forward with this process, in later steps, much easier rather than people who are, a little bit on the outside circle, kind of like the pit bulls versus love them, right? I hope I'm passing along the idea here. So let's try pit bulls again. See what we come up with. Pit bulls with space. Let's see. How about I love... Oops. Pit. There we go. So we have I love pit bulls. This group, this group, this group, this. Oh, that's money. This group, this group perfect. This is exactly what we're gonna add. I love Pit. There we go. I love Pit. There we go. I love Pit. There we go. I love Pit. And I love Pit. Perfect. Now we are in the 1.8, and that's a great number. We don't want to go too high. We don't want to go too low. Somewhere in the ballpark of say 500,000 to 2 million is a good place to start. Now we have all these kind of entries, all these keywords. We can definitely start going forward in terms of what we're trying to achieve. And remember, this is a page-like campaign with only one purpose. We're trying to get a demographic that will respond well to our cause, so to speak, right? So look, our age group is wide open. We're going from the absolute minimum to the absolute maximum. We're covering all the genders. So right now, we're not in a tight spot. We're not targeting everybody who is really, really passionate about pit bulls or any niche that you're working with, because we're speaking to everybody in the sense of the age and the gender. We do not want that, but we don't necessarily know what's the best age group. Maybe it's 19 or 13 or 50. We don't know where to begin. We don't know where to end, and we don't know if it's men or women who are more responsive to what it is that we're going to be trying to sell. And most likely, if we're going to be using the pit bull example, we're obviously going to sell stuff that relates to owners of pit bulls. So we really want to tighten our targeting, and we are doing exactly that with this page-like campaign. Because the next thing we're going to do is scroll down and leave, let's say, the $10 per day here. And this number is really more about what you're comfortable with. I would suggest a minimum of $10 and the maximum of probably $50, no more than $50 per day. And it's really up to you where you're comfortable. And you want to, here's the key, you want to run this thing for a minimum of 3 days, okay? Now, the way that the statistics work, and that's exactly what we're doing here, we're collecting data and statistics, and we're going to be analyzing after we collect it, is the more data you have, the more accurate it is. So the minimum that you want to run this thing is for 3 days. So you figure if it's $10 a day, your budget is going to be somewhere in the ballpark of $30. If it's going to be $50 a day, obviously it's $150. So the more money you spend, typically the more data you collect, because you'll be able to reach more people, so your statistics will be more accurate. However, you can start with $10 a day and run it for 3 days. Why 3 days? Well, the first day, Facebook really tries to gauge what it is that you're trying to say to the target that you're trying to reach, and because of that, they're really trying to spend as much as possible looking to kind of connect with as many people as possible and see how they respond. Do they click? Do they like the page? Do they like the ad itself? All those things. Is there engagement with it in one way or another? Based on that information, Facebook then takes that and tries to communicate it only to the groups of people who are much more responsive. They do it on their own. That's why they are great. That's why this method works, because we're really using Facebook's own amazing algorithm to bring us the data that we're going to be using later when we reach out with a product to sell to these people, right? Right now, we have no idea if it's what age group and what gender, and that's exactly what we're asking Facebook to do. So on day one, they're being fairly aggressive. The algorithm is being fairly aggressive to collect the data. On day two, it balances out. On day three, it balances even more, and so on. So you want to be there for at least 3 days to get more accurate information, because if you stop after day one, first of all, you're going to be spending the most money with getting the least amount of data back, because again, they're going out to shop around to see who it is who's responding best to your ad. And number two is, again, 2 days is just not quite enough to collect that data, especially at the $10 a day level. So you want to be at 3. Now, if you want to go further, you may want to stop at about maybe 5 to 7 days to get much more accurate data. But again, you don't have to. You will get enough of an idea on day 3. So on day 3, you would stop this ad. But before we even stop it, let's actually continue creating it. So obviously, the ad set name is going to be whatever your niche is. Let's say pit bulls, page likes, U.S. U.S. people or U.S. people who live in the United States, 18 and older. Now, the picture obviously has to be about what it is that, or who it is that you're trying to reach. So in this case, it would be good to have a pitbull picture. And the page itself, by the way, should be about the item, the niche, or whatever it is that you're trying to down the road sell as well. So for example, if we're going with pit bulls, I know I have a page somewhere with pit bulls. I love pit. There you go. That's from olden days, from way before. So that will make more sense for this ad. And if you don't have a page that is relative to your niche, then create one. It's very simple. As I already mentioned, you go to Google or YouTube and figure out how to create a page. It's literally a couple of steps, couple of clicks, and you're good to go. You don't need anything except a picture on the page. You don't need fans. Just create it and then use this page-like promotion to generate this ad. So when it comes to pictures, it's best to set up maybe not two, but maybe 3, 4, or 5 pictures. The reason being is because Facebook allows you to add up to 6 images. And you don't know which image people will respond best to. Let Facebook do the hard work. Put 6 images of your own liking that you feel will do best, and then Facebook will run them and see which one performs best and start using that one to reach the most people with the keywords that you have selected. You'll be able to pause the rest of them only after like day 1, because you'll see one ad has reached 1,000 people and has generated, let's say, 100 clicks, and the other ad has reached 3 people, right? So there's no point in running that ad. Simply pause everything else, except the top performing ads, and if it's more than one, then leave them, and then go from there. By day 3, you should only have the absolute best ads running, and you'll be able to use that statistic better when we go into the reports, and I'll show you all about it. So, like I said, add multiple images, let Facebook do the hard work. In the text, you may want to write something like, "Are you a pit bull parent?" Right? Why not an owner? Because again, we're trying to reach the more passionate people. Those are who look at their pit bulls as their kids. That's exactly who you want. So that's why we're relating to them in their own language by saying something like, "Are you a pit bull parent?" Then, now we're telling them exactly what to do. Like us. That's it. Very simple. You don't need to fill this whole thing out. Are you a pit bull parent? Then like us. Basically, you're saying, are you the person who belongs to the niche that I'm trying to sell to? If yes, then like this page so I can sell to you, right? That's essentially what you're doing. And it's very, very simple. You're asking them, if they answer yes internally in their head, you tell them then that's what you need to do. Like our page. That's it. Very simple, very straightforward. Now, next thing is you have these types of ads. Desktop newsfeed, mobile newsfeed, right column. Typically, we run the desktop and the mobile separately from the right column, only because our experience in our case has generated pretty low results when it comes to right column. You may have different results, so I suggest you test it. So we typically, and I'm just sharing with you what we do, we typically shut off the right column and run with these. Now, if you want to test, you simply place this order, and then you create a similar ad by clicking this button, and you would come down here, rename the ad set, change the ad set by saying create new ad set, and you want to separate the ad sets between, for example, the right hand column and the everything else. So you would say something like right column, just for your own notes, so to speak. So when you look at the ad set, you will see that this is right column right away. Now, this is going to be a separate $10 that's running on your right column ad, in addition to the $10 a day that you're running on the other ad. If you don't feel that you want to do this, then don't. I'm just explaining to you what the options are and how to set it up. So everything else stays the same. except you add the right column and you remove the other two. That way, this ad set will only have the right column ad running, and you'll know how it performs separately from the other newsfeed ad. Okay, so you would again place this order and you would click continue, and you have those ads running as soon as they're approved. Basically, inside one campaign, you have two different ads, one for the right column and one for the newsfeed. So typically we run the desktop and the newsfeed together in one ad. We don't separate them. But again, you may want to test this for yourself as well. Now, obviously, I'm not going to run these because this is just an example. So I'm going to pause the campaign. I'm going to pause the ads. But the idea is, again, to run it for 3 days. So what happens in 3 days? Well, let's actually stop this video. And in the next video, we're going to pick up from here and see what exactly we need to do 3 days after running, or 5 days, or 7, however many days you want, minimum of 3, after you stop this and you want to get the data in order to use it for further campaigns in order to generate sales. So let's head over to the next video where we're going to do just that.